Sean Strickland, Khamzat Chimaev, UFC 328, probably one of the biggest fights that we have this year. But what if I told you this battle between these two guys is probably not even about the middleweight belt after all? Confusing? Well, let me explain. Conor McGregor just inserted himself into the whole storyline, and now the UFC may have accidentally created probably one of the biggest storms we've seen in years. Yeah, let me explain, guys. Let me explain. I need to provide you with a little bit of context because the crazy part about all this is somehow, some way, the notorious one always finds a way to stay relevant, especially in somebody else's match. And it's, look, this is not even about UFC 328 anymore. This is not even about Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland anymore, because now this is about what happens after these two mega superstars fight. Well, let's talk about it, guys. But before we do that, welcome back. Welcome to Duality 7X. I'm your host, Shiraz. And boy, do we have a storyline for you. I told you if you watched yesterday's video, wait till you see what I'm about to talk about today. It's fight weekend, guys. We got Daniel Dubois, Fabio Wardley, Khamzat Chimaev, Sean Strickland, UFC 328 happening in Newark, New Jersey, and the UFC middleweight title on the line as Khamzat Chimaev defends his title against also a very highly controversial, talented fighter in the name of Sean Strickland. Probably one of the most anticipated fights the division and the world of combat sports has seen in years. I'm telling you guys, a lot of people are dialed into this, and honestly, this matchup already has everything but the kitchen sink, and people can't wait. People want this fight like now. So Sean Strickland, as you know, is a former UFC middleweight champion, probably one of the most controversial, unpredictable personalities in combat sports. Okay, this guy somehow turned his unorthodox, complete, awkward, chaotic, style into star power. Okay, he's gaining notoriety day by day. He's got a lot of fans, and on the other side, you got Khamzat Chimaev, undefeated. 15-0, 9-0 in the UFC. Probably one of the most feared, heavily protected fighters in the UFC. Many view him as the next global icon, next global superstar. And it's no surprise that the UFC is building around this guy, okay? And then all of a sudden, you got the notorious one, former legend. He inserts himself into the whole equation, into the conversation, and people are losing their marbles. And suddenly, this became a whole lot bigger than big itself. And look, when you got the notorious one, Conor McGregor, chiming in, people have to listen because he recently claimed that Strickland and Chimaev are basically fighting for his belt. Get this, his belt. So at first people are like, huh? And then he kind of laughed it off, right? Because this is Conor McGregor just trying to steal some hype and attention, and he's really good at that. But the more you actually think about what he said, the more interesting this gets. Because Conor McGregor is essentially telling both Chimaev and Sean Strickland, all right, and the public, and anyone who's dialed in and wants to listen, that this is the way the division is going towards. This is what's happening in the future of the UFC. But realistically, he's telling everybody that this is his belt, guys, okay? And it doesn't matter who Khamzat fights, doesn't matter who Sean Strickland fights, because in this fight, they're fighting for his belt. And that doesn't sit too well with Sean Strickland or Khamzat Chimaev. Sean Strickland kind of laughed it off. And he actually has a lot of respect for Conor McGregor. But, when asked about Conor's comments, like during media day, Sean Strickland, in typical Sean Strickland style, Sean Strickland, he answers by immediately kind of going off the rails as he normally does. He's not going to give you a straight answer. He's going to add a little bit of sarcasm and humor, and just again the same fashion that Sean Strickland answers all of his questions. He joked about whether Conor McGregor was on the juice. He referenced viral weight hanging photos from last year, laughed about his whiskey brands, strippers, money, drugs. I mean, the whole thing turned into classic Strickland chaos. And it's crazy, guys. Some of that stuff I can't even utter. I can't even say here. I'll get like red flagged. But underneath the jokes, there was actually some important connotation here. And Sean didn't dismiss Conor at all. He understands who Conor McGregor is, even despite him being away for as long as he has. He understands the threat that Conor McGregor poses and the hype that he brings to the table. So he actually embraced the idea, and that matters because look, I tell people this all the time. Whether you love him, whether you hate him, Sean Strickland understands attention, and attention in the UFC, attention in combat sports equates to currency. Okay, Sean Strickland is chaotic. He understands controversy, and when you have controversy facing controversy, kind of equals out, right? But he understands the business side of things, how business works, and he entertains it. He entertains it. I mean, if Conor McGregor says it's his belt, well, okay, let's fight for it, right? And now, look, this is not the old UFC anymore, where being the best fighter automatically makes you the best fighter in the world. Today, guys, attention carries a lot of weight. It carries a lot of weight, a lot of currency, and you buy your way sometimes to the front of the line. You can literally slingshot yourself from the back of the line to the front of the queue. And Sean Strickland, like any other, better than any other fighter, has figured that out more than anyone in MMA, UFC, and the world of combat sports. I mean, Sean Strickland says probably some of the most insane things on a week to week basis. And somehow, the internet, he's connected with the algorithm, and the internet continues to hype him up and make him bigger than he already is. I mean, that's amazing, guys. That's rare, very, very rare. Sean Strickland, if Sean Strickland beats Khamzat Chimaev this weekend at UFC 328, New Jersey is going to be upside down. All right? The UFC is going to suddenly realize that their future is now Sean Strickland. And an American holding the middleweight championship again is going to be very, very welcomed, especially by the likes of President himself, Donald J. Trump. So let's be honest here, guys. There's a lot of people who are wanting Sean Strickland to beat Khamzat Chimaev. That said, the UFC would absolutely sell a Sean Strickland versus Conor McGregor fight if they could. That's without question. And I mean, just think about it. Think about it. This would probably go down as one of the wildest press tours we've ever seen. And the UFC deep down inside, I mean, they understand. Both Chimaev, Strickland, these are two guys who have zero filters. Okay, they say what they want to say. They don't care about the ramifications of what they say. But both of these guys can generate headlines without even fighting. And then when you throw Conor McGregor into the mix, nobody does it better than a notorious one. So from a business standpoint, the UFC loves it. They want these guys to verbally assassinate one another, stylistically, linguistically. They want these guys to tear each other down with their words, right? And you have to understand, the UFC is now entering into a period of a weird transition where it's almost like WWE, right? You got John Jones, who's nearing the end of his career, still wanting to fight, wanting to come back, have one last fight. Israel Adesanya has kind of slowed down, and so a lot of people are starting to kind of move past Adesanya. Conor McGregor is still in the mix. He's eyeing a potential return in July, maybe UFC 329, and he's staying relevant. And the company needs new pay-per-view anchors. They need guys that they can build around, but guys are going to be able to stick around for longer than one fight. And whether people want to admit it or not, Sean has quietly become probably one of the most valuable personalities on the roster. Now, when I say that, take it with a grain of salt, because does that actually mean that Conor fights at 185 pounds, fights at a middleweight? Like, I mean, assuming Sean Strickland beats Khamzat Chimaev, is that the next best thing for Sean Strickland to fight Conor McGregor? I mean, this is where things get really interesting, guys, because for months, everybody assumed, everybody assumed that Conor McGregor was eventually going to return at welterweight. I thought he was going to fight on the UFC White House card, the Freedom 250 White House card. That didn't happen. But now suddenly Conor McGregor is talking about middleweight and talking about how that crown that Khamzat Chimaev currently has and wears around, the belt that he currently wears around his waist, that actually belongs to him. And that the division is actually his, not anyone else's. And so suddenly people inside the MMA world are starting to pay a little bit more closer attention to Conor McGregor and what he has to say, because it makes not only business sense, but it makes UFC MMA sense as well. Khamzat Chimaev, and from a promotional standpoint, it sells itself, guys. I mean, he takes a lot of the work, like a lot of work out of the PR people's hands. I mean, it's amazing. Like, I mean, he's basically doing free promo spots on behalf of the UFC, right? And the fans understand this. The fans know what's going on. They're eating it up. They love it. So the UFC doesn't necessarily always have to build a fight around what the fans think. They're trying to do things that give them a little bit of everything: the hype, the marketing, the promotion. I mean, they want the fight that's going to create the biggest moment, and you have to understand, Conor McGregor is, I don't care what people say, right? Conor McGregor is still yes, he's the notorious one, but he's still the biggest draw. He's the biggest moment maker in the sport. So I feel that when you insert a guy like the notorious one, especially into this fight between Chimaev and Strickland, it's stirring up the pot, guys. Like, it's adding more fuel to the fire. You know, people are losing their marbles. And look, Strickland, it's not just Strickland who responded to Conor McGregor. Chimaev also responded as well. But Khamzat, he took it seriously. He didn't just laugh it off and entertain the comments. He basically told Conor to stop partying and stop drinking proper 12 and get back to work. He said, get off the drugs, my friend. Khamzat Chimaev has a lot of praise for Conor McGregor as a boxer, okay? And that's why he openly challenged him to a boxing fight in Zuffa, under the Zuffa banner. That would be interesting. That would be fascinating to see Chimaev in a 12-rounder or 10-rounder against the notorious one. Wow. I mean, it shows you exactly where Khamzat Chimaev sees himself right now. But I mean, I've never seen Khamzat Chimaev do anything like that. I mean, but I've seen Conor McGregor fight, Floyd Mayweather. He fought Mayweather. I mean, he's a great boxer. And as a crossover fight, this could create a lot of buzz, a lot of attention. If he actually, I mean, if Dana White actually sanctions that, if he makes that happen, you know, Khamzat Chimaev versus Conor McGregor in a boxing fight under the Zuffa banner, it'll break the internet. I mean, these are elite guys. I mean, at that point, these guys are not even thinking about the rankings. They're not even thinking about their legacy. They're just thinking about leverage, the narrative. They're thinking about power and money, big events, big hype. I mean, firstly, if Khamzat Chimaev beats Strickland, his stock continues to rise. I mean, he will be the baddest man in the sport of UFC. And if he does go on to fight Conor McGregor in boxing and wins, that's it. He could retire, honestly. P for P rankings, probably one of the best. But financially, we know what this is going to mean financially, not only for the fighters, but what this could do for the organization, for Dana White, for the sport, for the industry. Because, I mean, there's a lot of questions right now about the financing deal between Paramount and what's going on. But this adds another layer to the entire story that I don't think a lot of people are really paying attention to. Chimaev's long-term future may not even, you know, stay fully inside the MMA because there's been a lot of talks recently, a lot of reports that revealed that Chimaev he still has his Olympic wrestling dreams, and that's something that I think he wants to knock off on his bucket list, is to compete potentially for a gold medal at the Olympics. And I mean, look, the Olympics is coming down in 2028 in LA. And look, he just signed with the Real American Freestyle Wrestling, RAF, and there's already discussions, guys, discussions about him potentially trying to compete internationally, right, under the United Arab Emirates flag. And if that actually happens, guys, if that actually goes down, it's going to say a lot about where combat sports is headed. 100%. Uh, Not just Chimaev, but many other fighters might potentially be going down that path as well. But to compete at the Olympics, I mean, that's something else, guys. I mean, look, the line between MMA, wrestling, boxing, right, grappling, influence events, all of that, it's really becoming thinner and thinner and thinner, guys. I mean, now they're all kind of in the same lane, and fighters are no longer staying in one lane. They're in the same lane, guys. They're going down this path the same as everyone else, and promoters are starting to realize the potential. They're starting to understand their audiences better. They don't care about traditional boundaries anymore. A lot of these promoters, they want the money, they want the hype, and this is kind of what they're after, right? They want the spectacle, right? They want the narratives, because the more people talk about this, right, the bigger the personalities come out of the woodwork and start talking about it. When you get guys like MMA Junkie, Ariel Helwani, Stephen A, I mean, this is just going to make things even better. That's why the UFC 328 main event actually feels like a normal title fight, but with a lot of attention, with a lot of hype. And this fight honestly represents two completely different futures for the organization, for the UFC itself, right? Again, Strickland wins, the UFC is going to get loud. American wins the belt. Controversial fighter. I mean, headlines are going to be massive, guys, and it's just going to create nonstop media attention, 100%. If Chimaev wins, a lot of questions are going to be answered. The UFC is going to have another undefeated superstar, 10-0 under their banner, and I mean, crossover appeal, potentially Olympic ambitions. They're going to sit in a very, very pretty place. That is Dana White, the UFC, and their stakeholders, people with invested interest, and they're going to be loving it, happier than a pig in you know what, because they got a guy that they can build around for the next 10 years. This is the reason why I feel that the Notorious One really wants to insert himself into the narrative, and trying to get people, encouraging people to talk about this, creating discussions, because Conor also knows himself. He knows his audience, just like any other major business entrepreneur. He knows his audience, and he knows the more people start talking about him, the more he starts to become of relevance, right? And now, the fact that he's circling like a shark around the middleweight division, it's creating a lot of buzz, guys, a lot of spectacle. So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised that the UFC is already thinking about 3 moves ahead. That's why the title says 3-way showdown, potentially. That's the fight business, guys. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. So I mean, honestly speaking, guys, I mean, that's what makes this sport so fascinating, that we could sit here for 20 minutes and talk about what if, but those what ifs could actually turn into fruition like right away. We don't necessarily have to talk about stats and punches and belts and legacy. We don't even have to talk about the politics anymore. All we have to do is just bring up these guys' names, and it sells itself, man. The marketing and the race to become the next massive draw in combat sports has already begun, guys. It's already there. And guys, this weekend, UFC 328, massive, massive. We're going to learn exactly who the UFC sees as their next guy. We're going to see how bad these fighters want it, and the baddest man on the planet is going to emerge as the winner. So I'm super excited about this, guys. And Khamzat Chimaev, Sean Strickland, they're about to go to war. And Chimaev wants to pursue his Olympic ambitions. Sean Strickland wants to become UFC's next major American star, holding the middleweight crown. So I want to know from you guys, like, I mean, is this a fight that is going to define the future of the UFC? Like, how do you guys see it? Do you guys see it as Chimaev winning? Do you guys see it as Strickland winning? And what do you think is better for business? So I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear your thoughts, your comments. Tell me what you think. It's fight weekend, guys. While you watch UFC, don't forget, Daniel Dynamite Dubois is going to be taking on Fabio Wardley, guys. Title fight, and this is a big, big test for the Dynamite one. It's going to be absolutely intense. A lot of questions are going to be answered between these two mega heavyweights. It's going to be very, very interesting. Daniel Dubois is the younger of the two. Both of these guys got a very, very good record. It's going to be very, very interesting. Like I said, a lot of questions are going to be answered, and this fight could actually define or change how the heavyweight picture is going to look like. So we're going to be covering that in tomorrow's video. But guys, tell me your thoughts. Tell me your comments. Thank you again for supporting us. Smash a like and subscribe. Hit the notifications so you guys never miss a beat. And when you get a chance, take a look at one of these two videos. And of course, as usual, the pleasure was all mine. Can't wait to talk to you about Dubois versus Wardley tomorrow. Have a great one.